The Seismic 7, Chapter 6, Part 1. I wake up to the sound of someone knocking. It's Dr. Greer. Up and at 'em in there, she says. Breakfast is in 15 minutes. Next to me, Kinsey groans from her sleeping bag, rolling over and shoving a pillow on top of her head. I can hear a quiet shuffling from the other side of the room, which I'm guessing is Wyatt because Todd does not strike me as the sort to get up early either. I stretch, blinking blearily. I didn't sleep great on the floor, but I signed up to do that for a summer, so I have to at least act like I'm okay with roughing it. Sitting up, I stifle a yawn. Morning, everyone, I say. You shut your mouth, Kinsey responds, her voice muffled by her pillow. How is it already morning? Todd groans from the other side of the room. It's our first day on the job, Wyatt says. Let's not waste any time. That seems to get Todd moving because I can hear a lot more shuffling from their side now. We all get ready, even Kinsey eventually. Before eating, we make our way over to the makeshift bathroom facilities. I decide a shower can wait until after the day's activities because it sounds like I will probably work up a sweat. At the food tarp area, we settle into camp chairs, waiting to see what's for breakfast. Turns out it's a giant vat of oatmeal. Yum. The cook drops a glop into a bowl for me, and I smile weakly. Thanks. No problem, he says. I don't know his name, but there's at least a dozen adults here I haven't got the names of yet. I lean back, waiting for the person passing the sugar around to hurry it up and get to me already. I'm not eating this stuff plain. Glancing around, I don't see Miss McNamara anywhere today. I guess she's off doing her normal work in the park. We will do all training this morning so we can get you officially started midday, Dr. Greer says, without any prior announcement that we should be listening or paying attention to her. One by one, we stop talking and turn to face her. Quietly, I take the sugar from Wyatt and pour it into my bowl, stirring. As explained yesterday, your job will be to follow a tunnel down into the ground to a pocket of cracks on the caldera's edge. She holds up a tablet with a diagram on it. We call this tunnel the Alpha Tunnel. It curves from vertical to horizontal about a mile in. Thanks to the fracking drill equipment we use to make it, Dr. Greer snorts. At least that equipment has served one useful purpose for the world. She waits for our reaction, but we all are silent, so she continues. Once the tunnel goes horizontal, you'll find it passes by a series of natural cracks that need to be extended down. She points on her diagram. Those will become the beta tunnels. You will be making those yourselves. We've modified our fracking drill bits to attach to the front end of some specialized pods that run on tracks you will need to install inside your beta tunnels as you go. Your primary job will be to drill into the natural crevices, make the beta tunnels, and extend them deep into the Earth's crust until you reach a critical point just above the magma chamber. A point which you will need to determine for yourselves. Trust me, it is not a place you want to make mistakes. Drilling to just above the magma chamber definitely sounds like somewhere I wouldn't want to make mistakes. Can't argue with that. There, you will deposit small explosives which can be remotely detonated so we can trigger them from a safe distance. Upon detonation, a beta tunnel will crack and reach the magma, releasing pressure. This shakeup will melt a manageable portion of the magma, which will rise through the tunnels into our cave, before calming and cooling. We can then re-drill through the alpha tunnel and repeat with the next beta tunnel as needed. I gulp. This sounds incredibly risky, but it's not like I'd be able to come up with a way to stop a supervolcano. So I guess I need to trust in the professionals. Next to me, Wyatt crosses his arms, drumming his fingers. It's crucial to keep all drilled areas at the exact sizes I tell you, so that the pressure will be just right. Each crevice you work in will be different. Each will have its own risks. Nature is not neat and tidy, and the magma chamber is not at even levels throughout. Dr. Greer concludes, Does everyone understand what they need to do? We nod. Wrong answer. You don't understand yet. You have no details. Dr. Greer shakes her head at us, then begins to list stuff on her fingers. What kind of mineral veins should you watch out for to avoid coming face to face with a pocket of superheated water? One finger goes up. At what distances apart are you drilling for the tracks? Another. How close is too close to the magma chamber? What temperatures should you monitor in the tunnels to be assured you're in a safe zone? What kinds of rock can you drill through and what would crumble, possibly triggering a pressure drop or a hydrothermal fluid release too early? Gypsum, calcite, sulfur, iron, Kinsey answers. Dr. Greer's first question, imitating her by ticking each mineral off on her fingers. The distances to drill for the tracks will likely vary depending on numerous factors, which I'm sure we'll have to calculate ourselves on the job, Todd says. The density and composition of the rock above the magma chamber will determine how close we can get, I jump in, excited that I can answer one of her questions. We should note temperature increases if they rise, but if they're stable, even if they're warm, we should be safe, Wyatt says. And as for the rocks, we can drill through. Granite will be the safest. Rhyolite is probably fine. Kinsey starts. Non-layered metamorphic rock should be also okay. Todd says. I don't think we'll find any, but if we do, we should avoid sedimentary rock unless the grain size is next to nothing, I say. And it also need to be cemented strongly together already, Wyatt adds. Small grain size and strong cementation. Dr. Greer doesn't smile, but she does raise her chin slightly and her cheek twitches. Show-offs. You're all close, but you're still going to have to do the official training. I can see Miss McNamara picked candidates wisely, after all. I will have to thank her. That startles me. I thought Dr. Greer had chosen us herself. Miss McNamara did? But how would a park ranger be a better judge of geology candidates than an actual geologist? Just one more thing to add to the list of weird stuff we've learned in the past 24 hours. Okay, gather round, Dr. Greer says. She brings up more slides on her tablet. Stopping the Yellowstone Supervolcano 101. She pauses for a moment, and I wonder if she was expecting us to chuckle or something, like earlier. But the moment passes fast, and she continues, diving straight into her slides. This will be your home away from home, down in the tunnels, Dr. Greer says, pointing at a picture of a contraption that looks like a cylindrical cage with giant hunks of metal on the top and bottom. Your drilling pod. On the bottom is the fracking drill. She expands the image size. The drill looks almost like a giant metal flower. I expect a drill to be, well, pointier. It will churn the rock up and through the pipe that runs up the side of your pod. This pipe goes all the way to the surface along with your power cables and safety lines. She points out a series of tubes and cabling that sticks out the top of the pod in the picture. Next, she points to the top of the pod. On the other end of your pod is a motor. This motor runs on the tracks I mentioned before. She shows us a picture of the outer edge of our pod, on the opposite side from the pipes. The pod attaches to some long metal 2x4 looking things that go down the tunnel in a straight line. The motor at the top of the pod hooks directly onto these tracks. It pushes the pod along, kind of like a toy train, diving directly down into planet Earth. Dr. Greer continues to talk, and I can't help but start to shake at the thought of us really doing everything she's outlining. Mom doesn't let me use the blender by myself, and here I am about to be in control of a machine that can cut through our planet, all while carrying a poisonous gas detector in case the air turns bad, and a tank of oxygen to breathe for such emergencies, which we have to safeguard from sparks because we're going to be operating a giant drill and operating a hand drill to install metal tracks. What? Bree, I shake my head at myself. You agreed to help stop a supervolcano. You probably should have expected it to be difficult and scary. Get over yourself. After her slides, Dr. Greer waves Mr. Stiles over. He opens up a briefcase filled with measuring instruments. This one here is what will detect if there is water in the region. Mr. Stiles hefts a rectangular-shaped thing out of the case. You'll want to take measurements thoroughly around an area before installing tracks. Hidden seams of H2O will likely be superheated from convection, which means scalding steam. so you really don't want to pin a track into one. Mr. Stiles shows us how to use all the equipment, one item at a time. He makes each of us test everything out before he hooks it onto a tool belt on the table. The only thing he demonstrates that I feel confident being able to operate is the headlamp. Once Mr. Stiles finally finishes showing us everything in his scary case of important tools, he gives each of us a completed belt. Width of the holes for track installation? Dr. Greer quizzes us. 1.27 centimeters, Todd replies. Distance between? Half a meter, unless unsafe, I say. Then we adjust according to the surrounding rock. Dangerous humidity level? Anything over 40%, Wyatt says. Dr. Greer nods. Keep an eye on your barometers. Trust me, my eyes are going to be glued to my thermometer, barometer, all the ometers, Kinsey says. She shakes like a tiny leaf, hooking her belt on. You're going to have to make sure I pay attention to anything else. I try my own belt on, flipping some of the equipment so I can ready it more naturally and testing to see how hard it is to unhook and rehook the tools. Dr. Greer looks at each of us for several moments, then turns to Mr. Stiles. If they find suitable crevices, we'll try them with 5 meters of drilling and track laying to start today. If they can get that done safely, we'll advance them to as much as they can do before dinner. I try to ignore that she said the word safely. Will the Alpha tunnel be ready for them by now? Mr. Stiles asks. It should be. Dr. Greer's eyes flash. Right, of course. I just hadn't checked with... Then check. Right. Dr. Greer turns back to us as Mr. Stiles scampers off.